Well, hey there, partners. You ever hear the story about how the devil went down to paradise? Well, you bet you.
And with that incredibly short introduction that almost caught me off guard very nearly, hello, I'm Kevin. These are my fine and wonderful players, the people who take time out of their busy lives to come and play a game with me every week. And I appreciate it so very, very much because I always do it in order. Let's do it in backwards order this time, starting on the bottom row, but only because we ran out of boxes on the top row. Alice, played by Sarah. Thank you. Right next to me over here, we have Jet, who is played by Noctum Sky. Both of these people you may have seen in other shows that we do. Hopefully, if not, tune in Sundays and Mondays and you should catch up. And at the very far end, because we're skipping an empty box for a couple minutes, at the very far end, we have Lesumax, who's playing Lucius Glory, the Undertaker with an attitude. And with that, last time we met, you guys made it to Paradise Township. You met some friends. You interacted with some people and a raven. You got hired to do some security work by a young fellow who said it was his mine at the top of this mad railway track to the top of the mountain. You went up there to help him. You found a very disturbing mangled body and a symbol to an elder god in blood on the ground. In the process, at around that time, as you took this body down and started to lay it to rest in a reasonable fashion as per Undertaker's instructions, what you found out is that a group of, well, let's call them what they are, bandits, mercenaries, were hired by the local banker. And they came up and basically shooed you off the land. You went down to discuss this with the banker in question, and it looks like his documentation is newer than Alan's, who's the gentleman you're working for, and it seems to be legally binding. But both documents have been sent off to a large city for analysis by an impartial person. In the process, you guys met the local banker, last name Kerwin. You also found on that mangled body that there were some bite marks. And as per the sheriff's horrible premonitions, they turned out to be true. And the wolves that had eaten a piece of this desecrated body, you guys had found a piece of ghost rock in its mouth, had in some way become tainted. And you were sent on as more or less an official posse to chase down these wolves and remove them and bring them back for a bounty. You made your way during that time to a miners' camp along the river where there were large bloodstains and a conspicuous lack of miners, or even parts thereof. You did find the bloodstains for 3 people who had apparently been ripped apart in this location. And you found some very large, overly large wolf prints leading up into the trees up the mountain. And at the very end, you heard howling, but not like any normal wolf howling. It was all guttural and huge, and it made the valley shake. It was... And then from the other side, and slightly behind you, answers across the valley. With that,
right.
Let's go down the rabbit hole to our very favorite place, Poisoned Paradise. And let's have everybody draw 3 chips, except for Jet, who needs to make us a spirit roll to see if he gets all 3.
All right. Let's do that. Boop. Hey.
Yeah, you managed to put the image of all those bad dreams behind you for somehow managed to get a rest out of that evening. And you wake up in the morning feeling at least ready to go. And as these wolves are howling, You guys, again, please put those on your sheet. Have a track. Keep a track.
Apparently we ran out, so I'm one short actually.
I can't draw any.
Wait, we took them all.
I took them all back. I hope you were all ready to go. Or you remember what you had.
Well, I'm one short at least, so
Okay. Let me get you one.
draw one more. I'm gonna draw one more.
Still says I'm out of cards.
Cards or chips?
Well, the chip
Cards.
pile always says cards, but
Run out of cards. Exactly. We're drawing all cards. Still won't let me.
Called all of them.
Rightfully so. Alice got hers. So
Boom. You get a blue one. I just drew it for you.
Who?
Spend 10 minutes figuring this out. So your third one was a blue one.
Yes.
Whatever the two you had first, and then a blue one.
and what did I get? Because I didn't get any.
Okay.
Sorry,
you get nothing.
that's fair.
See if we can do this. Okay. You get 2 whites and a blue.
Nice.
And Alice, did you draw yours?
Yep, I'm all good.
And you got them? Excellent.
Yep.
Okay. When Ellie gets here, we'll have her draw hers. Well, I already know what she's getting because I already looked. You know, sometimes you're using software and they upgrade it during the week and you assume nothing has changed. So, at the bottom of this hill, you shake off the effects of the exhaustion jet and you look up into the, it must be said, invitingly cool trees. Because behind you in this little clearing that you're in, it's almost noon and the sun is starting to beat down on the back of your head and your neck if you're not wearing a hat. The sweat's starting to run down the back. And out of the corner of your eye, the sparkles of light coming off the creek are almost blinding, almost like little explosions. It's so bright. And it's already hot.
So, that don't sound good.
There's at least 3 that you can hear. One up to your right, that you're basically at the bottom of this it's steep, it's not vertical, but it's very steep wall. And there's one that's up above you. There's one off to your left and slightly behind you, which means it's between you and town. And there's at least one more that seems to be even further up the hill. And they're back and forth to each other. Far more than normal wolves. It sounds a lot like they're communicating. Like, not in words, but just positioning.
So it does definitely sound like there's one between us and town.
Oh, absolutely. I would like some guts checks all around, please.
Okay.
It's not real bad, but it's especially that moment when you realize it's between you and town. It just makes Alice angry.
Alice is fine.
Jet, roll me 2d6. Keep all. Keep all.
2d6.
8. You feel like you're being watched. And no matter where you turn, it's behind you. You're going to have a hard time paying attention. Ellie flat out freezes up. She just stops. Eyes wide, staring at you guys.
So me and Lucius are fine.
Yep, the two of you are just like, yeah, whatever.
Wolves.
Well, this is what we came here for. Tainted wolves. Yeah, that's a tainted wolf. Why
Yeah.
are we still here?
Poisoned. Yeah.
Yeah.
Come on.
Oh,
Let's focus, you two.
tainted wolf. Somebody had to do it.
Yeah.
So which way is the closest one? That sounded.
The closest one would be between you and town. It's probably. I mean, it's hard to tell because wolf howls bounce around valleys a lot, but you'd guess it's probably. No, make a tracking check for me.
Trick.
Mm-hmm.
Just
Cool.
Ellis.
Got a little bit of that now.
Okay. You see these large footprints now that you know what you're looking for. Down by the creek bed, it looks like it ran down the creek bed at some point, and you can see about 30 or 40 feet down that creek bed, it turns and goes into the trees. And you can tell-ish it probably heard or saw you guys coming and went around you to get behind you.
That's true.
Alice will kind of like shake Chet. Be like, I guess you better get that gun out.
I've had it out, ma'am.
And yeah, rattle. Ellie's got her pistol out.
Yeah, I'm just. It's gotta be. I swear I can feel it.
What are you talking about? That it's like that direction, and that direction. Clearly.
Yeah.
I suppose there's nothing medically I can do to shake them out of this, can I?
This is just going to take time.
Yeah.
So are we waiting here to be attacked, or are we gonna go on the offensive?
Well, I think we should just be vigilant for now, and probably. We're in the house, right?
And it's a house is a stretch. This is a ramshackle cabin. This is plywood, or not even plywood, but like planks just leaning against a rough wooden frame. Shanty, perfect word. Thank you.
Okay.
Characters to the rescue. That is the perfect word. Yeah, the roof's kind of, I mean, it's there, but part of it's made of a tarp. This is just here to keep 3 miners dry.
Yeah, so this isn't the best cover for us. We should leave.
Yeah, Alice doesn't want to be in here anyway. She doesn't like being in here anyway because there's blood on the floor and she's not trying to get her shoes and her dress dirty. So
Yep.
It matches the dress.
Yeah, doesn't match the shoes though.
No, she's gold. Baby.
Yeah, Ellie has backed out of the little building, and her eyes just keep snapping back and forth as each one howls. She's just following them with her eyes. Which way? Which way are we going? And as the pistol's kind of moving with her eyes.
Just take her easy. Don't want to do something rash.
I mean, I feel like we go for the one that's close to between town, right?
That would be probably the more advisable thing to do. So let's get ourselves together as much as best we can and head out.
Hey, give me a marching order.
Do you think the two of us will have to be in the front? I don't know.
Yeah, I just want to check. Am I I know I'm paranoid, but am I still like?
You rolled fairly low. Mechanically speaking, you're just if there's any tracking or searching or anything like that to do, you're going to have penalties.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha.
Yeah. But I mean, it doesn't. It's not like you're so distracted that if a wolf burst from the trees, you would fail to see it. It's not that bad.
All right.
Sized tainted wolf.
I mean, I don't know. I'd be willing to still be in the front. I'm just gonna be paranoid the whole time.
Okay, so Jet and then Lucius.
I'll go second.
Okay.
I got your back.
Okay, and then for safety, probably Ellie third, or does Alice want to just sort of drag Ellie along?
If Ellie's like not moving, Alice would kind of like, nudge her like in front of her, like, okay, go. What are you doing?
She comes back a little bit, enough so that she's probably not going to shoot any of you by accident. But you can tell she drew some strength from you in that moment. So she'll be third, and then Alice bringing up the rear because the boys are so brave.
Brave.
So what are we doing? Following the tracks or down the river? Follow the noise?
Okay, well, I'm running my shovel and possibly my blade under my cover at the ready too.
Yeah, I've got my Alice has her Winchester out.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, shotguns at the ready.
All right.
Okay, I'm right behind you. I'm gonna put my armor on, like just an arm on your shoulder. It's like, okay, lead the way, Jet. Here we go. I got you
It's
covered.
not dark. It's like I said, it's high noon. So even if you move into the trees, you're still going to be able to see quite clear.
It's more of a comfort thing to like ease him a bit in a sense. Although I don't know if I'm helping him.
Is the Undertaker measuring me again? What the hell?
I promise I'm not this time.
Same size I was yesterday.
All right, well, I guess I would head towards the sound because, I mean, there's one behind us and, we got to deal with it. So I guess I'm headed in that direction the best way that I can.
So again, you're right along the side of this sort of river/stream. It's right on the border. There's lots of rocks. There's lots of rapids. It's actually making quite a bit of noise.
Mm-hmm.
Difficult to hear even bird song and things like that because the river is right there. And again, there's all that sparkling of the light coming off those little crests off that rapids. And it's rocks this big making up the sides of this creek. So it's a difficult path, but give me tracking.
All right.
And it's more difficult than it normally would be because of your state of distraction.
Gotcha. Well, I don't have tracking, so let me roll 1d6.
I do if you want me to help.
Why is this person at the front?
How do you steal that?
Because he's the one with the big boots.
Oh my goodness.
Okay. You start looking, and the other three of you see he starts to wander off into the trees a little bit, and you look down. He's following coyote tracks. They're like this big, and the tracks that you're supposed to be following are this big.
Jet.
Okay, Jet, we're switching. Jet, get behind me. You watch my 6, and I'll do this. Okay, just don't blow me up.
Okay, now we've got the two petrifieds in the middle.
Well, it seems kind of suitable since we're the only sane ones, kind of guiding them. So
Right.
But,
That was very brave of you to say that before you rolled this. Go ahead and roll me a tracking.
okay, give me a second. Tracking. Right. Oh. I could have swore I put points into that. Maybe not.
Oh, Miss Alice.
Yeah, Alice is with at this point. She's like,
What you see is the cowboy following coyote tracks. The gravedigger gives him snooty face and a little bit of attitude, and then proceeds to follow exactly the same set of coyote tracks into the tree.
Alice is like, oh my goodness, this is why you don't let men do anything. Yeah. And she's like, I guess you were so focused on talking bad about Jet that you weren't paying attention yourself.
Accurate.
And I don't do much better either.
I was like, I'm so glad you're talking shit, because now I'm going to roll another low number.
So you, Ms. Alice, do not follow the coyote tracks. That would be foolish.
Yeah. Well, I had a decent tracking roll earlier too.
Sorry?
So I had a decent tracking roll earlier.
You did, and that's quite funny that happened, because in your anger you get turned around and start following those tracks back towards the way you came. At this point, Ellie snaps back to her senses. You were frightened terribly by the screaming of the wolves, and now you're back. Snaps to her senses and looks at the three of you and says, there, and points to a set of big, heavy wolf tracks. They're just off where you guys were looking on the little sandy bit right beside the creek.
We never speak about this again.
We got that one. Can we talk about that 1, 2, 3 right there? That's so.
Yeah. Oh boy. I'm just glad you guys got those out of your system.
I could have swore I put more points in tracking. I guess not. Oh well.
But I wasted that 17 on a guts check earlier.
As this is going on, Jet, that feeling again, that little twinge, and you look, but this time it's real. There's a set of golden eyes peering out of the trees.
Am I still taking the lead, or you?
They're gone.
Where'd they go? Oh, the eyes or them?
They just turned and disappeared. Not
Hey.
like they were invisible, but like you got like a sunlight glint off like a sniper's scope, right? You're always looking for those in those games. It's like that. You got the glint off their eyes. It watched you for a couple of seconds, and by the time you said it had turned and gone away.
Apt description of what Jet said.
I just saw something.
It was huge. 4.5 feet, 1.5 times the size of a timber wolf.
It was big.
What? Alice is like, what in the world is wrong with you today, boy?
Look, I don't know if it's this town, the water, but none of us seem to be doing any good today. So
I think we're all a little frazzled. Let's just take a deep breath and continue, folks. Okay.
well, it's that way, and I point in the general direction of wherever I saw the eyes.
It was if there was only the 3 that you heard howling earlier, this must have been the one that was between you and the town, and it's now just uphill of you in the trees. So you would have to go away from the creek and up the hill to follow it now, if you're following the sound. The other 2 are still at the top of the hill and then even further away up the mountain. And you can hear, again, they keep howling back and forth and changing position ever so slightly.
Are we still following? What are we doing? Has
I
anybody
mean,
moved since?
I think we have to, because I would have stepped that way. Because I mean,
Okay. If he stepped that way, Alice would have followed along behind him.
So this means going into the forest itself and up the hill. So on the bright side, it's not so hot in here. The sun is being shielded. This is a pine forest, so there's very little undergrowth, but there's a big, thick, soft cushion of dead pine needles. It's like walking almost in a bouncy house. There's a give to it. Alice, the heels, you're having to walk on your toes because the heels are wanting to sink in.
Okay, she's practiced at that.
Oh yes, absolutely. Yeah, it's just taking a little extra effort to get through here with some dignity and some grace, and this purse does not match.
That'd be nuts. It's fine.
You continue on in this springy area, and it also does weird things to the sound. But the one you're heading directly for it, it howls again. Directly ahead of you. It can't be more than 200 or 300 feet away. You hear the echo of the other 2 up the mountain.
Alice is she's gonna stop, and she's gonna say, let me see what I can see. And she's gonna pull her camera out, and she's gonna use that zoom on that camera to see
Sure.
what she can figure out.
Go ahead and give me a scrutinize.
That's a 13.
Okay. You get the camera, the tripod set up, because this is not something you can just sort of hold still. It's a great big box, right? It's heavy. You know exactly what this looks like, but for those who don't, it's like it's big and it's got a big spring on the front, and yeah, it's large. So you get the tripod set up, you get this set up, and you start scanning the hillside. And you come at it from the back first. So you see this big bushy tail, and you keep zooming across, and there's this huge body, but there's big rips in the skin, and there's flesh showing, but no blood. There's a couple ribs sticking through. You can you can see a lung in behind it moving. It's like this thing almost burst.
Like it was a normal size wolf, and
it just too much, and it just in places it sprung ribs. It's got a limp on one back leg. As you see it, it turns and looks directly down that camera lens, right into your eye hole. And you watch as it reaches out with a paw and very intentionally pushes a rock. And that rock starts to roll. And it's coming directly towards you guys. And wolves don't have expressions, but you swear that thing grins as it turns and heads up further up the hill.
They're all gonna be mad about this.
Guts check.
Hold on, they're all gonna be okay.
Looks like you've seen a ghost.
To see if you can get out what you just saw.
If I pass this ghost check, I have a thing that Alice would have done.
Yep. Assuming you hit the trigger on the camera.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
That is what you do, but that is all you do. Your head snaps back out. You can't control yourself out from underneath the shroud thing that goes over your shoulders.
Yeah.
But just out of sheer training and force of will, and you see the plate expose for a second and then shut.
All right, let me roll this photo roll here. Oh no.
It's not great.
No.
Oh,
no.
Okay.
Get
Of
up,
course.
burn a chip.
Yep.
What is it for each one?
Just check. Okay. I have the fate check
traits,
right here.
abilities.
White would get you one extra die. You roll again from 0. A red means you roll a die and add it to your current score, but if you use a red, I get one, or I get a chip. And blue does the same as reds, but I don't get a chip.
All right. We going blue. That's not. I'm not.
So keep 1 and 1 of whatever that was. Was that a D12? So yeah, roll 1 D12.
Do I do keep 1?
With keep 1, yeah.
That's not. Alice isn't. That's a 7. So that's a 14.
So that takes it to a 14. You think you got the shutter closed fast enough to catch it because it was definitely in motion by the time you hit the button.
Yeah.
So it'll depend on when you develop it or not. But you may have a blur, and you may have sort of half a wolf, or half a tainted wolf. You're not 100% sure, but you're pretty sure you've got at least photographic evidence of the damage that's been done to it.
Okay. All right.
It's not your best work, but you were almost pooping with fear at the time. So.
Yeah, right.
You do manage to maintain your voice, though. You can still speak and tell them what you saw.
Okay, yeah.
The rock is rolling down the hill directly towards you guys.
Is it a big enough rock that they can see it without?
How big is
They'll see it when it gets closer. It's about like 5-pin bowling ball.
Okay.
It's kind of hurt.
Alice is the only thing Alice is gonna say right now is she's like move like she's
I move.
Grabs her camera.
yeah like that pretty much like that and then
gets her back to a tree like she's protecting herself.
Yeah, I'm behind a tree.
Yeah, the rest of you guys just
I'll hop over
and this rock just.
where
Sorry, what was that, Ellie?
I move over to where she is because I don't know where I'm supposed to move.
Yeah, go
I'm
where
assuming she's
go where the
saving
radio
herself.
knows where the problem is going. Yep, absolutely. So you guys sort of leap behind trees, and this rock, it's about that big, goes past you. And by this point, it's got to be going 30 miles an hour, and it's boom, boom, and it goes down and it hits the rocks on the side of the creek, and it just explodes, just shrapnel for 5 or 10 feet in every direction.
okay, now that that everybody's okay, Alice will tell them what she saw. How do I describe this? She's like at a loss for words, almost like the thing was big. So she's gonna say it had some damage on it, but it wasn't bleeding. There was a rib sticking out. I think I could see a lung. But okay, but the worst part is I swear to you, that thing looked at me, grinned, and pushed that rock down that hill. Also,
This is from the most cynical person any of you have ever met.
I just kind of give a sideways concerned look over at Lucius specifically. Just
I
kinda-
mean, I mean, this is coming from Lady Alice, you know, so
exactly, that's how you know it's valuable and viable information.
I mean, or it could be the heat.
Oh, what do you know? You froze up back there. You didn't even do nothing.
Well, I know generally wolves don't grin or push rocks.
Yeah, this didn't look like no regular wolf. This must be poisoned by all this ghost rock.
Oh yeah, poisoned. And
I did see the footprints are like, that big.
Yeah.
I'm starting up the hill.
Heading towards the noise. Okay, you're going first.
Oh yeah, no more of this heeing and hawing.
shall we, ladies? We can
Gets
talk
on a
about this
mission.
later.
Alice
Round of
will
the chamber.
Alice will follow once she's safely got her camera packed back up.
Back up. Yep, got that plate safely in the padded.
Yep.
Because they're on glass right at this point.
Well,
I
glass?
think so. Yes.
Either way, until you process it, it's very fragile.
I will wait a bit. As a gentleman, I'm just gonna make sure no one's left behind. So
We'll
So
just
you're
go
bringing
right
up the
behind
rear?
Jet.
Okay. So we now have Jet, Ellie, Alice, and Lucius. Okay. Jill is your new marching order.
And she'll keep telling them in more detail as they're kind of walking about the like the cuts where you could see through and all that stuff.
Oh, I'm sure, Miss Alice. That sounds completely right.
Jet.
She's like, oh, whatever. You gonna see in a minute. So she don't say nothing.
Oh, I don't. It's not that I don't believe you.
I don't.
But it ain't poison, folks.
You hear another howl. This one a little further away, but starting to angle up the hill towards the other two.
I assume Jet is still following the sounds.
Yeah. Speaking of which, Jet, what as you're walking up the hill away from them, what's the body language?
Of me?
Yeah.
again, I have to check back. Have I shaken that initial feeling at all, or is it still there?
At this point, yes. When you turned around and saw a real one looking at you, it was like, see, I wasn't nuts. There is one behind us. So you've kind of justified it now. So you're processed it. Yeah, that's gone.
So now I am. It's more predatory. It's just very much, this is a hunt. I'm hunting this because this is a threat, and that's all it is to it. Whatever it is, gotta kill it.
So you're heading up the hill, man on a mission style. You're not sneaking or hiding. You are just following the noise.
Yep.
Rifle out, just ready to go. Okay. You guys see this as he, without a word, in his typical cowboy fashion, just makes a decision and turns and starts heading up the hill. Ellie falls in behind. Alice, checking her skirt for mud, follows along. Lucius, very carefully not seeing the tiny bit of mud on one of the heels of Alice's golden shoes, brings up the rear. And we head up the hill. All of you can give me a scrutinize check, please.
I put a point
Stop
in
doing this. You guys are all rolling so poorly. I'm just like, all of you roll. And look what you're doing. I mean, I'm trying to help. One more. We're still waiting.
Oh man!
What did
Lucius is really focused on that mud.
Yep, he's just every time she takes a step, you're kind of reaching out to try and flick it because you're trying to be a gentleman. You don't want to say anything, and you're kind of trying to flick it off. But her heel, she's walking on her toes. It's kind of hard to get. Your shovel's on your other shoulder, and you're just not paying attention at all.
I mean, given how meticulous I am, that does make sense. So,
Yep.
I'm just picturing like
Alice,
Lois hands and knees, just no, come back.
Alice,
it's myself going
okay. Alice, you've got the distinct feeling like this gravedigger might be trying to see up your skirt.
Yeah,
Sleight of
right.
hand, sleight of hand.
Real
Sleight of
close
hand.
behind
Sleight of
you.
hand. I'm sleight of handing the whole time, okay?
I'm playing off these rolls that you guys gave me. Jet, you are totally following the sound. You're not looking around. Ellie,
His eyes closed, and he's just like,
he's just fixated. He's looking right up the hill, right where the last howl was, and he's just like, it's behind that tree. It's behind that tree. It's behind that tree. He's just focused. What he doesn't see, what only Ellie sees, off to the side, there's one that apparently hasn't made any noise at all yet. And it's 50 feet away, sitting behind a log, so that only it said, as you turn your and look, Ellie, its chin is resting on the log. It's giving you the big puppy dog eyes.
I grab Jet's arm because he's right in front of me and like kind of jerk him to make him stop and then point.
And it starts to drop.
Did I see it?
You see the shape, the gray shape dropping behind the log. Maybe you could get a shot off. I mean, you could get a shot off. Maybe it would stand a chance.
With a shotgun, though?
Not much of it showing. Most of it's behind the log, but your call.
Well, I guess I'll look at the others and just... Now, at this point, I will kind of not sneak, but just be more muted as far as just like, this is a hunt, so it's more
You're
like...
in hunting mode, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, starting to move, absolutely.
And
mhm.
I guess I'm just gonna look at them and be like, she saw it's right there, it's over there, and I guess I'm just gonna start walking that way now.
Yep, with the shotgun aimed at the stump.
Oh yeah,
absolutely. Lucius, give me just a straight deftness roll, please.
Deftness, okay. That's just a straight one, okay.
Yep, it's whatever your deftness is.
Boy, I'm not doing too well today, folks.
You're really focused on this mud.
Yeah, you reach up, you finally get your fingernail underneath the mud, you pull, and at that moment, from just behind your left shoulder, you feel the weight of a mountain just hammer you, and you feel claws digging in through your suit on your shoulder. You feel a hot breath blow across your ear, and you have just enough time to think, this is it. And your face slams into the undergrowth, this thick padding of pine needles, and the weight's gone. And the smell of the breath is gone. And the three of you turn around just in time to see a tail disappear over a branch. And Lucius face down on the ground. Big paw prints right on the middle of his back.
I'm gonna run over and help him up.
Ouch.
You okay?
Wait, okay, but is this a different direction than the one that Jet is walking towards?
You guys just got ambushed. And you take one wind. You're very lucky.
Oh,
All
You
of us
just
or
got-
just him?
No, just him, just from getting knocked down. He literally got
Oh.
winded.
counting
And
my
as you
blood.
pick him up, you quickly look around. You just got ambushed by wolves.
By big wolves. Not even.
This is way not natural wolf behavior. I mean, they hunt, but to actually have a distraction, which is clearly what that first one was now when you start to think about it, while another one snuck up behind you, and then it didn't kill him, it didn't bite him.
They're just toying with us. These creatures are a lot smarter than they seem.
And at this point, you realize there's no animal noises. There's no bird song. There's no, regardless of what you actually hear, that woodpecker isn't there. It is absolute preternatural silence. The kind of silence that happens when predators are in the area and everything is hiding.
Anybody else have a really bad feeling right now?
Alice cocks her weapon. She's like,
And from up the hill, you hear,
I get myself out there.
different, bigger. It's the first time you've heard that voice, and it's all the way at the top of the mountain.
Yeah, I've drawn my pistol by now.
Yeah, I actually had you draw it even before you, even when you were panicked.
I stood up, if that's all right. Like, quickly.
Give me everybody just give me a straight up knowledge roll, whatever your knowledge stat is.
Just knowledge? Okay.
this is all on brand.
6, 7, 10, and 5. Wow.
I increased my
Alice,
knowledge. Wow.
You're doing the math real quick, and you did some cartography training as part of your photography. It's all because you learned how to do photography for people that were doing like laying out railroads and stuff.
Yeah.
So you know a bit about it, and you kind of do the math in your head. That last one came from the end of the rail line at the entrance of the mine.
Like where we were.
Where the body was that they chewed on in the first place.
She's gonna tell everybody that, but she's gonna say, well, based on my time at Hartsford, she got a name drop. She's like, based on my time at Hartsford, I did some cartography training, and I'm pretty sure that sound came from up at the opening of the mine. I told y'all these things was poisoned by that ghost rock.
I really don't want to have to go back there.
Me neither. But I don't know that we have a choice if we're going to do anything about these big old wolves.
Suppose not.
And off to your left a little bit, another rock goes tumbling through the forest. And you kind of, again, you're still sort of in math mode. You look up ahead of you, and the way that terrain is shaped, it looks like they tried to make another one come at you, but the terrain sort of shoved it off to one side.
Did anybody see that?
The rock, yeah.
They rolling rock. They bowling at us again.
Behind you in the water.
We should move. Sitting target's easier to hit or ambush.
What about you, cowboy?
Maybe the end of the day I'll have more answers about all this, but yeah, I say we have to get to at the very least we need to head that way. I'd say top of the hill is probably the safest place to start at least, so they can't roll nothing.
So they can't roll any more rocks at it.
Could I do a knowledge geography to kind of like give us sort of like a bit of knowledge, like of sort of an advantage of the territory that we're in, the rocks and stuff like that.
Have you got geology as a specific science?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. Give me a roll.
Geography for specifically rocks.
Geology or geography?
Geography, sorry.
No.
That's not really going to be helpful. No, geology would be helpful for finding like a ridgeline or something, but no.
Oh, okay. Never mind then.
You're more like national boundaries and state boundaries and stuff.
Okay.
But you guys can see, seeing as how you brought it up, you can see, like I said, that rock that was coming towards you got deflected by this little ridge that you're paying attention. You're almost on. So if you stay on it, it's at least going to be difficult for them to roll more rocks down at you. But it would mean walking more or less single file up this ridge.
Mm-hmm.
And there is still trees. This is still a pine forest. They're sort of, but I don't know if you've ever been in a real pine forest. The trees are 30, 40 feet apart, but the canopy is pretty much solid above you. You just get little bits of light. It's where the phrase dappled light comes from. There's little sparkles through the trees. But for the most part, you can't see more than about 20 feet straight up. If you go and stand under any one tree, you can see 50, 60 feet up, but the overall effect is much more like a canopy.
How steep is this? Like if someone were to fall or stumble, would we be like down the mountain, or would it just be kind of...
It's on the brink of that. This part, if you fell, you'd still be able to stop yourself, but you wouldn't want to be climbing anything much steeper than this. And actually, from the way it is, the spongy material is actually making it easier. You can kind of dig in your toes as you climb, and sort of every step makes its own foothold. Especially those with pointy-toed boots. Cowboys and Southern belles.
All right. No reason to tie us all together then.
Oh, that's what. Okay. I was like, where's he going with this?
So you guys start making your way up this ridgeline?
Yeah.
Well, I guess.
And as soon as you do, within 20 or 30 seconds, all the howling stops. There's no more. But every once in a while, you just see a little flicker of gray moving through the trees. Always above you and always in the direction of the end of the line.
By always above us, is that like equidistant? Like they're moving and staying...
Just at that range where it would be very difficult to try and get a decent shot off.
Okay.
I mean, you can always try, but it would be quite a challenge. You can get because these are wolves moving through trees, right? These are hard to hit.
They big though.
Or they would be if anybody tried.
Well, I'm following Jet. So
I'm going till we get to the aptly named end of the line.
All right. And you keep moving and keep moving. And with that...
Oh, we get a map, y'all.
Oh, no. Oh.
Back to the end of the line.
Oh, good.
Just for the record, was this way much harder way to travel up this to here?
Weirdly, the way that this mountain is shaped, not particularly. I mean, other than it was easier to go the other way because it had a railway line cut through it, so at least there weren't any trees. But this whole end of the valley slopes up to this one little pass right at the top where this mine entrance is.
Lucius, you are hurting. What happened to you?
I was ambushed by a damn beast.
Fair
You only
enough.
take 1 wound from this, and you guys would have recovered all your wounds from previous stuff because it only takes 10 minutes, right? So,
Okay, so
I mean, picking up here from the previous battle, all your wound, not wounds, sorry, all your wind damage is gone.
speaking of which, does anybody have wounds? I look at you.
I think I'm good. I don't remember.
He's like, Jet's like,
Not bleeding anywhere?
Don't be ripping your
Nothing
stitches.
appears to be currently bleeding.
I don't remember getting a serious wound in my right leg, but apparently I might have one, unless I clicked it wrong. I thought my chaps were better than that, but
Oh, don't be ripping those stitches up.
yeah, I don't know. I guess my legs hurt a little bit.
Jet's been limping this whole time and nobody
The whole
knows.
time he's just
No one's even.
dripping a small trail of blood up this hill.
Quick
Certainly
question.
makes it easy to figure out how the wolves were following you now.
Quick question with the system, wounds affect your rolls, right?
Yep.
So
Your
does that
worst wound. Yeah.
And do they calculate all that with wind and wound?
Nope. We figure it out live.
Okay, just double checking because I found out my
Just
wind
take
was.
you out of the fight, but wind it just takes you out of the fight. Wounds, your worst wound on your body does that many points of penalty to all of your rolls, essentially.
Right.
Yeah.
I just found out I had 5 wind that I didn't take off.
Yeah. So yeah, get rid of that. You've only got the 1 right now, and in fact, by the time you guys have finished grinding your way up here, that's gone too.
So you're
You guys
back
get to
full.
the edge of the clearing, and there's really only one thing you notice that's different than the last time you were here. That big wooden X that the body was tied to
Mhm.
and had the throat cut and then had been chewed on by the wolves. It's not just empty. There's no blood stain left on the ground or on the wood.
I have to know the secret.
That's not my main concern, I'll be honest. Alice wants to look around actually to see if she sees any sign of anybody having been up here recently, because she knows that most of the time that they've been having somebody up here keeping watch.
Yes, they have.
So
Give me a searching.
Searching.
This isn't really scrutinizing. This is looking for stuff. So, okay. You find a divot in the ground, and in the bottom of that, there's a big paw print with a claw marks, like one of these huge wolf prints that you've seen.
Mhm.
And you kind of back off a second and get down and let the light do some of the work. The shape of this is like a body was slammed into this mulch.
Mm. She's gonna point it out specifically to Lucius.
Okay.
She'll point it out to everybody, but specifically, she feels like Lucius is the best one to
I'll go inspect it.
Okay, you give me a scrutinize. And what are the rest of you doing? Jet and Ellie.
I'm probably gonna look around to see if I spot any of the wolves or
Excellent. Give me
bodies or anything.
give me searching.
Oh wow, I'm not.
This is not your day.
This,
No.
by the way, you're rolling tomorrow might not be your day either. You didn't see anything. You didn't find much. Jet?
I'm actually headed straight towards the mouth of the mine.
Oh, Jet.
Okay.
I'm not going in. Mama didn't raise no fool. But I need to. Come on.
Give me a survival check.
Oh, that's a good one.
Great.
He's like, oh, good.
I'm just skipping around the page trying to find stuff you're good at.
So what is it that Alice saw? It's a
Like a
mound.
divot in the ground that it
Yeah.
looked like a body had been like slow.
Surprising, and as she explains it to you, you realize you left one that probably looks pretty much exactly the same about halfway up this hill.
All right.
Something got pounced right here.
It's that minus, I forget, is it 1 or 2 for if you don't have the skill?
It's actually minus 4.
Ah, so it's a 0. I did not survive. See y'all later.
Wow. So you guys are looking around well, I guess somebody had to see something. You guys are looking at like I said, Alice and Lucius are looking at this divot in the ground, and there's just a flicker of motion out of the corner of your eye, and you look up at time to see a wolf coming out of the trees at full gallop. Half the face is missing. You can see bone and teeth on this side. There's one eye kind of rolled back in the head like it's almost coming out, but the ears are forward. There's a growl, and it's coming directly towards you.
Towards who now?
It's coming directly towards the way you guys are set up here. It's coming directly towards Lucius.
Of course it is.
Well, I assume that's where I would be too if we're looking at the.
Yeah, where's the divot?
Yeah.
Let me just get.
If the divot is where Lucius is, that's where Alice would be. So.
Yeah, exactly. That's where you guys are. Is right there. That's where the divot is, right beside that stump. Jet, you're over here by the entrance to the cave. You look in and you realize it's way too bright out here. Your eyes haven't adjusted to the darkness, and you just see this blackness. What you do notice, though, is you remember last time you were here, the prospector said, and you guys looked in, it was just a natural cave. There was no framing or anything else. It's now a prepared mining tunnel, at least the first, like you can only see about 15 feet in, but it's properly braced. It's been cut into a square pattern. And there's even the crushed gravel on the floor where somebody is about to, or looks like they're about to put in rail lines.
All right. Well, Alice doesn't have time for that because there's a wolf charging. Alice is trying to get off a shot.
Okay, everybody roll me some quickness.
Okay, and I'd also like to throw my dagger, so
Time. Yep, when we get to see who's going when.
Okay.
Oh wow.
Oh man.
Let's see, what did I get?
So, Jet, you get 1 card. Alice gets 2. Ellie gets 1. They get 1, and Lucius gets 1 as well.
I was so close to getting 1 more card.
Well, that's better than nothing.
Oh, come on.
Oh, that's perfect. I love it when the dice come together.
I will be looking at this mine for a minute.
Well, it gets worse.
Oh, good.
Okay, great.
Because now that you've seen, like, sort of what to look for, there's not 1, there's not 2, there's not 3.
Oh, God.
There's 7
Oh, good.
tainted
no.
walls in a semicircle around you, charging in one cohesive unit out of the tree. Aces. Kings.
I got a king.
Makes sense. You saw him. You just sort of and get your rifle.
If I could get a hold of the card here, maybe. Give me the thing. All right. So she had her Winchester out.
Yep.
So I'm gonna go shooting, right?
Yep, shooting first, and then if you hit, you roll some damage.
Shooting. That's an 11.
Which one are you shooting? They've all got little colored dots on them.
Whichever one was the first one that.
It would be this yellow one down here. Would be the one that was
yeah.
closest.
Then that
This one here has actually burst out to there before you get the shot off. And 11 does hit. That's damage is 20. Okay. You line this up perfectly. Pull the trigger. It hits the half of the face that was still together, and it just like it pings off. It does some damage. It leaves a divot down the side of the skull, but it doesn't seem to have done anywhere near as much damage as shooting it in the head should have done, or shooting it in the guts should have done. It bounced off the skull and went into the body, and just you see it come blowing out through those damaged ribs.
Oh, good.
And that is the yellow one. And that is... And so... Oh, no, never mind. You also notice that it in no way affects it at all. As far as its approach to you, it is still charging directly at you.
Alice will yell, just run at the top of her lungs. Nope.
So you got the... Just to be perfectly clear, because this is the first time this has happened in game, you get the distinct impression it did about half as much damage as you expected it to do.
Oh my god.
Great.
Bet you wish you had some of that ghost rock now.
Any other kings? Queens?
Yep.
What suit?
Spades.
Spades, you get to go first.
Oh boy.
Okay. I guess I'm gonna fire at the green one near me.
Okay, so this one up to the north here?
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, fire away. So shooting. You snap your pistol around and it feels unbelievably tiny in the face of this monstrosity that is charging out of the woods. You can see tufts of this tufa, this soft material, flinging up behind its feet. It comes right at you, and you panic and shoot a tree. Ding!
Take that tree.
That tree will never walk the same again. Next, the wolves.
Oh no.
And they are quick.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
It sure was nice knowing y'all.
Oh my god.
Oops. There and...
Jet, you're living the nice high life over there.
I think I was at the front of the line.
Sorry, I missed. Sorry, no, I forgot all about you. Two of them are standing with you.
Oh, sorry for selling you up.
You almost saved him.
What should my next character be, guys?
Make a new
attacking? Let's start with because it would have been he was so close. Jet, 2 attacks against you. 7 and a 7. Those both you are not protected in any way, so those both hit. You take 1 wound to the right leg and 1 to the left arm. It slams you to the ground, and its claws, one of them just about breaks your shoulder, but and the other one lands, let me put this gently, in an inner thigh region, which causes some difficulties.
What, remind me, how bad is a critical wound again?
Critical wound means that piece basically doesn't work for right now. It's a -4.
I can't walk.
Oh no.
Unless you burn a chip. Or don't
Yeah, you can burn a chip to prevent that wound. Either one of them. You could burn 2 chips and prevent them both. Or burn 1 red or blue chip and prevent them both.
I guess I'll spend a chip to get rid of the right leg wound, and I'll leave the other one alone.
Okay.
So
So instead of tearing into your inner thigh, it slides off of your chaps and drives into the ground right between your thighs. You do take 12 points of wind.
Oof.
Now you could burn another chip and get rid of some of that.
I got it. I'm still holding on.
Okay. So that's the 2 versus you. The 2 versus Ellie. this page.
Mm-mm-mm.
That is also 2 hits. Didn't roll damage. Why not? Oh, that's because it only does damage. So you take 1 hit, 1 wound to the lower guts, 1 to the left arm, and 5 points of wind. One against Lucius. That is a hit, and I'm just going to do the other one against Alice here, so I can go to the other page. Those both hit. I don't have much in the way of protection yet. So Lucius, you take only wind. Alice takes 1 damage to the upper, 1 wound to the upper guts. And each of you, just to make this fast, you both take 4 points of wind.
Wait, who takes wound?
We did yours already. That was earlier, so this is these two.
So I got a wound to the upper guts, right?
Yes, you do. Just 1.
Just so
You
would
guys
that
each
be
take 4 wind.
like a light? Or...
Yeah, exactly. Whatever the first one is.
Okay. Oh, I got. Oh, good.
What was the queens? Jacks. 10s. 9s. 8s.
8.
8. 8. 8.
Alice is the first one to look like. Blah.
Yep.
You
You got the first shot away. Now you're getting the second one. You can move if you wish. You saw how fast these things are. There's no way you're running away from them. But
Yeah. Alice is she's gonna kind of just kind of recoil back a little bit from her ouchness.
Yep.
And then
Line
she's
up
gonna,
that shot
Yep. She's gonna shoot
against the
it
yellow one.
again.
Okay.
It's an 11.
That absolutely hits. They're not difficult to hit from this range. They're not hiding in the trees anymore.
And
Oh. Yeah. Wow. That is a large roll. Divided by that is 2, 3 ones into the upper guts. This is the same one you shot before.
yeah.
And your successes, because you rolled that extra success, you could move it 1 location, which you could move it to the gizzards where it was hit before.
Which one's better?
Well, as soon as you get one of them to 5, that part ceases to function.
Oh.
And
Yeah.
Gizzards and head, if those cease to function on a normal creature, at least they're dead.
Yeah, well, we all just moved that to the gizzies if it was shot in the gizzies before.
Yep. So you just line up that shot again, and it's turned sideways to you, and you fire right into that place where you saw before, where there's the hole and the ribs and everything else, and you see this out the other side. Again, it only seems to do half as much damage as you thought it was going to do. But at least this wolf is now sway-backed, is putting it politely. It is almost in half at the middle. The only thing that's holding it together is the spine.
Oh, good.
And it's having trouble moving. 7s.
Me.
Okay.
7 of hearts.
Yep.
Lucius rallied by Alice's amazing shot.
Yep. I'm about to finish the job for you by attacking it.
Shovel to the skull, or shovel to the wolf. Go ahead and roll me to hit with the shovel.
Okie dokie.
That definitely hits the fighting shovel.
Lucius.
Go ahead and roll me some damage.
You did it.
Okay, how do I roll damage again? I'm sorry.
Go over to the combat stuff page. Scan down until you get to the section with your shovel in it.
The shovel.
Right.
and then make sure you click the hit location before to highlight that before you hit the little die to make it roll.
Oh, hit location. I guess. Wait. Oh, hit it on, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
And then just hit that die. Not bad. So you sort of golf swing it, sort of step up and catch it right in the belly. And again, you got an extra success too. So yeah, you actually axe. You use the edge of your shovel exactly like you thought it would work, and you cut through that spine that was holding it together. So that particular one falls into two pieces on the ground. It is still not, weirdly enough, it's not dead, but it's out of the fight. It's just sort of twitching and trying to get close to you.
That's terrible.
But it's out of the fight. 6s. Unless you wanted to move.
Maybe a little bit, yeah. I'll back up to Alice and just kind of in a protective kind of stance.
Shovel in hand.
Yeah.
Yeah, Alice with the gun and the shovel guys. Like,
Shovel guys, I got you.
this.
I got you. Yeah.
Okay.
6s. 5s. Ooh. You're the only one left, Jet. What do you got? A 2? You made that face. Yeah, you got a 2. Okay.
Well, okay, so the most important thing I need to know is where is the cave opening? Am I in the mouth of it? Am I near the mouth of it?
You are, let me do this. There's basically one of them on each side of you, and this space directly in front of you would be the entrance to the cave.
That's awfully convenient.
Oh no, Jet's gonna get
God.
ghost rocked.
They came down the sides, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's the only cover we have, and I have a shotgun, so yeah, I'm gonna just essentially when I see this, I'm just gonna tuck in here. If this is it about the size of like one person? Like, are you occupying that space, or is it?
Yeah. Each
Okay.
one of these spaces is 2 yards, so they're sort of 6 feet across.
Okay, so yeah, I'm gonna just take that opening and just stay on the aim on the outside, and I guess try to shoot one of these around that corner.
Yep.
I guess I'll
You'll get them both. This is a spray effect weapon, so
Oh, nice. Okay, so
they
yeah.
basically sort of follow you in. I mean, they would, right? They're hunting you, so they step in front of you, and you let loose. Go ahead.
All right.
A shooting shotgun.
And I have a serious wound to my right leg, so it'll be at a -3.
Yes.
Okay. Shooting and shotgun. So
An 8 is still a hit. They have no protection at all. So they are at 0 range. So give me 6d6, keep all damage.
oh, I love it. Let me find that in my shotgun. Here we are.
Yep, because you're at 0 range, we actually set that up as
Oh.
a d.
I think I rolled the wrong thing. Let me try toggle on. Maybe that'll do it. Nope. Let me try that. Oof.
Oh my god. That's 4 1s.
Don't say that.
You know, in the very first session, I mentioned a thing, and I mentioned it a couple times. And I mentioned how rare it is that critical fails happen in this game. For that to happen, you have to roll over half the dice that you rolled have to be ones. You weren't even close. You rolled 4 out of 6. So, the shotgun goes off. Kinda? It goes off right at your hands. The chamber explodes. Shotgun shrapnel, bullets, and shotgun pieces fly in all directions. Luckily, the tunnel is sort of cannon mouth shaped. So the last thing you feel, because I'm not even going to roll the wind for this, the last thing you feel is being knocked back, pulling your hands to your chest, and falling down and looking up to see right outside the entrance to the cave. First of all, the parts and the shells and everything just about ripped these two wolves apart, but they were still looking at you. And then from above you hear You started a small avalanche, and these rocks come down, and you watch them as you're passing out, almost passing out from the wind. You're crawling, trying to reach for your rifle, reach for your pistol. Your ears are ringing from the explosion. You watch these huge rocks just and finish the job. And inside the tunnel with you, this little crack of light between the rocks, you see 2 crushed wolves, just a paw and a head, and the other one just half the head sticking out. But you are all but unconscious. I'm going to take, it's all going to be wind. But suffice it to say, you are, well, let's do this.
Only have 2 wind left, Marshall.
Oh no!
Come on, you already know.
Oh, no.
Oh no.
What was your total wind?
14, and I was at 2. I think I'm dead.
Okay, I wasn't going to do this until next week, but you fade. The light's gone. Jet is no more. And then out of the darkness, spiraling towards you, a darker piece of darkness. And it lands on your chest. And you look down, and it floats up in front of your eyes. And it's a tarot card. It's a picture of a jester, 3-pointed hat, full harlequin outfit, all just done in white outlines against a black background. He's got one hand covering his eyes, and in the other hand he holds a map, and he's stepping off of a cliff into oblivion. And behind him is the most idyllic pastoral scene you've ever seen in your life. And this beautiful female voice says, "The pathos of the fool is not that he does not see that he is dying, but he does not see what he missed while he was alive." You draw a breath. You look down and your body is shattered. Your rib cage is pushed in. Your arms are broken. Your hands are, there's almost no fingers left. A shotgun blew up in your hands. You should not be here. And then it starts, one knuckle at a time. The flesh comes back. Another. And one fractional bit of you at a time comes back from wherever it was sprayed on the inside of that rock wall. And you are rebuilt lovingly and with a sense of pride. You are reconstructed one tiny bit at a time. And eventually, it's all back. And you sit up. Your hands work. Your ribs are back. Your skin is intact. In fact, even the wounds you had before are gone. You are perfectly healthy. Even your hearing's come back from the ringing in this cave. And you look down, and the tarot card is gone. But in its place, just tucked into the front of your vest, is a black feather. A feather so black, you know if you take it out in the sun, it's going to look blue. Meanwhile, outside,
Yeah. As far as I'm concerned, Jet just crashed the
Collapse.
mine.
he just collapsed the mine on himself and the 2 wolves. You guys, your heads just snap. All thoughts of fighting gone. Jet's gone. And there's a glow. The ghost rock rails that you're standing, all of you are now standing very near, start to glow and start to hum. And it's everything you've heard about ghost rock is bad. It's poisonous. It's evil. It corrupts. But something about this is different. This is something controlling this ghost steel. And it starts to thrum and vibrate, and it turns and gives off a blue light, and the wolves start to back away from the rail. You all have one free action. What would you like to do?
Run as far as I can to Jet.
Yeah, run this way.
It's like an aura comes off the tracks, and it just gets bigger and bigger, and it's like it forces the wolves back as it goes. You can see them, especially the biggest one that you had just noticed. It's resisting, but even it is unable to resist as it's forced back by this shield of pale blue and somehow dark blue light at the same time. They are very
Alice is so torn. I'll be honest, Alice really wants to take a picture of this, but she's not going to.
I don't know if you guys heard that. I just had real thunder and lightning outside. Just the perfect timing effect.
Okay.
You guys get to the opening. The wolves are gone into the trees, and the haze starts to drop back into these ghost rock tracks. And ahead of you, there's rocks. Some of them huge, some of them the size of you. You're never going to be able to move some of these. But if you climb up a little bit, you will be able to dig your way in.
Alice, Jet!
I'm gonna start digging.
Jet, you hear this terrified voice.
Is this after all this has happened?
Yes.
Yeah. Digging with my shovel to help out.
Yeah, you're prying rocks, and rocks are flying. And so, Jet, you see the light start to come in, and your eyes are dazzled because you were in the darkness. And somehow, even though you were in darkness, you could see all of this. But now that the lights come in, you're blinded by the daylight again.
Hey.
Jet! You surprisingly look okay.
And that's where we'll take our break. Whew.
Whoo-wee. Well, that was weird. Seen a lot of things around these plains. Ain't never seen a man put together like that before. But I'm gonna process this. Y'all take a break. All right. Hope y'all had a real good rest there. I didn't.
Well, it got all dark in here, and it wasn't just because Jet was in a cave. An experience, I guess we'd call it, was had where, let's be honest, the boy should be dead, but instead he's completely reconstituted to a perfectly healthy version of himself, with the image of a tarot card burned into his mind, and a black feather, so black it reflects blue light, tucked into his buttonhole of his vest. Rocks are pulled aside from outside, and three worried faces, boom, 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 almost comically backlit by the light, pop up into that space looking down at you. Go.
Is the hole big enough for someone to crawl in?
Absolutely.
Okay, I'm gonna quickly crawl in and it's almost start patting down his arms to see if he's okay.
I'm gonna try to get in there, or can I make the hole bigger? I don't know.
Yeah, either or.
Okay, I'm gonna make the hole bigger. Just
Okay, so you start making it easier so you can start to step in without having. She kind of wiggled in. You're trying to make the hole bigger so you can make a more graceful entrance.
Are you
Yeah.
okay?
I'm in shock. I'm fine. I'm fine.
Does he have a concussion? Lord. Jet. Did you lose consciousness at any point?
I'm not sure. I was not okay for a minute. Was that a dream?
He must have got knocked out. We should get him back to town as soon as we can.
I want to do a medical check on him as soon as I can.
And Jet, try not to move too much.
I think I'm fine.
Yeah, you're doing a mental inventory and a physical inventory, and you don't even have like a sore ankle or anything. Like it's
This I've seen some very strange things, but this honestly takes the cake.
And yeah, I'm not even going to make you roll your medicine. Ellie, you notice this too. This doesn't make sense.
The stitches, everything, they're gone.
They're gone. There's no mark where the wounds were. The bandages are wrapped around untouched skin. Even the bandages that were blood soaked, the blood is gone, and it's just a bandage wrapped around an arm.
Wait, what? Lucius, what did you say?
I said the bandages. The scars are gone. The stitching, it's gone. It's like he's a new person altogether. There's no wounds, nothing.
Jet, you hear that, and you start thinking, and there's a couple of scars that you've had since childhood. You know where they are. Gone.
Miss Alice, you've taken pictures of me, right?
I have.
Did you happen to get like my forearm or anything in there? How good? I know this isn't the right question because I know not to question your skill, but how well can you see in those photos? Would you be able to see a scar or a wound of small nature?
Probably. I think there was a photo that I took that had everybody in it towards the beginning.
Yeah, and you guys had been traveling together for a couple of days already, so I'm assuming at one point you got that sort of manly man pose where they're standing there like this. So you guys get out of the cave, back out into this clearing. The bird sound is back. The animals are back. The squirrels are running in the trees again. It's like this place has been cleansed. There's no sort of lingering after effect from the wolves.
Is that one wolf that was chopped in half still over there?
It is actually, now that you look at it, it is basically just literally skin and bone. All the flesh is dissipated. It's gone. Like it's been laying in a desert for 100 years. It's totally desiccated and gone. But the skin and the bones are still there. Enough to see that you were right in your initial conclusions. This thing was forced to grow by the poison.
Yes, of course. That's the only logical explanation.
You do have pictures of Jet, so yeah, you could go through those absolutely.
Yeah, I would have them. I would clearly have them all with me.
Yeah.
So I'll pull one. I'll pull like the best one that has like whatever one that has his forearms in it, and I'll look at it but hand it to him.
So you guys, again, we're out in the bright sun now. This is like 1 o'clock in the afternoon in the early spring. It's that bright, pouring down sun. It's not uncomfortably warm now. It should be, but it's somehow, especially after that cave, it's more welcoming. It's a good warm. And you tilt that plate back and forth in the sun, and Let's see how good in retrospect that photo was. Give me a photography.
Okay. I get to it. That's the wrong page that I clicked on. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. It's a 9.
Okay, even in the bright sun, you're flicking back and forth. It's inconclusive would be the word. There's something in that picture on his arm, but maybe it's a shadow, maybe it's, a trick of the light. But Jet, you know there used to be scars there and there aren't anymore.
I don't know how well you can tell looking at this, but I had a pretty nasty scar right here, and it's not there anymore. And you've been traveling with me long enough, folks, to know that I ain't no liar.
At this, Alice is gonna back away as far as she can and where they're at from the mine and the train tracks.
You start backing up and it's like, no, wait a minute, those train tracks did some weird shit too, and you start you change direction. Yeah. What's the look on your face?
Alice's face?
Yeah.
Confusion and maybe a little bit of terror.
The very first time these guys have seen you not completely confident.
Yes.
Other than when a big scary thing was in front of you.
She's convinced that the poison is like airborne or something. It's clearly like a I don't know, not like a gas, but like
you must be hallucinating.
Yeah.
So you see Alice backing away from you, scared.
Undertaker, have you seen or heard? Do you know what happened to me?
You want me to roll a knowledge or no?
Nope.
Yeah, I've
rolled that high.
Like I said, I've seen some strange things, but I've never seen something like this. What in the hell happened to you in that cave?
None of this makes sense. The tracks were glowing earlier, for goodness sake.
I don't know. I was trying to get a good handle on the wolves, and I stepped into the cave, and I fired off my shotgun, and something went wrong, and I actually look around because I realized I don't have it anymore.
There's splinters of wood that you recognize as the dark walnut of the stock. You said it was a revolving shotgun, so that revolver section that's like a 6-shooter is rammed between two rocks in the side, and the front of it is exploded like a mushroom. And it's clear what happened. The shot went off and the round never left the chamber, and the spark went all the way around the revolver and lit off all 6 rounds at once. The gun couldn't take the pressure, and it simply exploded. With your background, you know how much damage that would have done. And you look around, you look back inside the cave, there's chunks of the wood framing, this big heavy framing that's been dented and damaged by the explosion. There's bits and pieces of broken barrel everywhere. Shotgun pellets litter the floor. Not a drop of blood.
I'm looking at this, and I turn back to them and say that I should not be alive right now. That don't work like that.
Alice is.
What do you mean you should not be alive?
Go back up.
Kind of get to the trees and go, all right, there's wolves.
Yeah, and she's got that gun drawn. She's eyeing Jet real hard.
Is it actively pointed at him?
No. but she's like, if these wolves were poisoned and all this stuff happened with them and they grew, and for her the only logical explanation is that if you get like this poisoned by this stuff, or if this stuff has this kind of effect, like that the same thing could happen to Jet, like at literally any moment.
I don't know.
You step back out of the cave after looking at the damage. And as you turn around, they're spread out a little bit now. Miss Alice is sort of off here transitioning from fear to not fear. Let's say the other two are still sort of standing in front of you, and just behind the three of them, just in the distance, the outline of a bird. And it drops out of your line of sight right back down the hill heading towards the town.
And I look down at my vest and I pull out the feather and hold it in the light. And
It's blue. So black, it's blue.
And I'm just gonna put that in the brim of my hat. And I don't know. We got to get back to town though. That we can't. I don't know.
And he starts putting his remaining gear together and getting his rifle and his pistol set. And
I'm gonna kind of like almost like think about it for a second, then take a breath, and then gave him a quick hug and then back off quickly. I'm glad you're not dead.
Me too. I'm glad y'all are okay as well. Y'all, I know I managed to deal with the two of them in front of me, but y'all, would I have seen all the rest of them too?
speaking of which, as you turn around and point to the two that are crushed under the rocks, they're in the same boat. There's nothing left but skin and bones. And a quick search around the clearing reveals the other bodies in exactly the same state. All 7 wolves are
Wait,
dead.
all of them?
They're all dead. They're all desiccated. They've all had all of the flesh and muscle and internal organs are just gone. But not like they were eaten, like they dried up, like they were freeze-dried.
Can I do a search and check on some of the bodies?
Absolutely. And you guys will probably want to take trophies to prove that you dealt with them.
I'm my own trophy at this point.
I was going to say, Jed, do you want to keep the biggest one?
I don't even know. I'm somewhere else right now. I'm not even. This is not my concern. I'm sure the sheriff will take my word for it.
It should be noted that I'm kind of just hardcore, just kind of staring at you in puzzlement.
Yep.
And he just keeps uncomfortably getting ready. Are you physically going to start walking down the hill?
Yeah, I'll take a last cursory glance around. Maybe I'll probably pack up the main pieces that I can find of my revolving shotgun because somebody that knows about it will understand that I'm not lying.
Sure.
And, I'll keep that and take that with me. But yeah, it's kind of like I get the feeling it's that like when people know you're sick or like something and you're still coming to terms with it and they're just kind of all looking at you with that weird way, and I'm just kind of getting ready and I'm just going to start walking on, presuming they'll be behind me, but I got to get back. I got to figure out what's going on.
Miss Alice, are you going to be grabbing one of your photos?
Alice is I would say, yeah, this is gonna freak Ellie out probably, but Alice just like, and she just like tentatively, probably at least 10 yards from Jet, will follow him down. He doesn't say anything to Ellie though. And she's not like her dress, like she's not hiking her dress up, nothing. She's just dragging her stuff, like her dress is scuffed in the ground.
There's a lock or two of hair out of place.
Yeah.
Rifle still clenched in her hands.
Yeah.
Looking very uncomfortable.
Yeah. But she doesn't say anything to Ellie. She kind of shakes her head no, and then like turns and starts walking.
Stiff back. You can see how hard she's trying to maintain control. I think, is that fair?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Because I mean, she would always try to like maintain the. She's also as soon as she gets to town, her first goal, first person she sees, she's gonna try to see if she can. If they can't get somebody to go fetch their horses.
Sure. So you guys start your way down the hill in...
did I find anything, Kevin?
Yeah. Oh, yes. Thank you for reminding me. Other than these desiccated bodies, you don't really find anything other than, again, more evidence of the fact that they were forced to grow very unnaturally. From what you know of medicine, they grew in an instant. They just puffed up. There's nothing natural about the process. There's also nothing natural about the process that dehydrated them, is essentially what's happened here. As you go around gathering the tails, because I'm assuming you're going to take some sort of proof back.
Yeah, and could I take some teeth too?
Yep. The thing is, when you go to pull the teeth out, you understand now why they were clawing at you and not biting. Because as soon as you touch the teeth, they start to fall out. They're not in the jaw at all tightly anymore.
Okay, that makes sense. Interesting. Okay, I take some tails and some teeth.
Yeah, grab. Write down six tainted wolf tails, and you can have 5 teeth that you can get out in reasonable nick.
Perfect.
And with that, you guys start your way in uncomfortable silence or near silence on the way down the hill. And you make your way unbothered back down the slope and into town. The weird part with walking back into town is nothing's changed. Everything's the same. Everything's different with you guys. The whole world just changed. But here it's like nothing happened. They're still buying groceries and shoeing horses and going drinking at 2 in the afternoon. It's all disturbingly normal as you walk down the tracks and back into town. What would you like to do?
Alice is going to tell Ellie that she should ask around at the bar the next time she's in there and see if anybody saw the tracks do down here what they did up there.
I don't really know what I saw, but I'll see what I can do.
Okay, so you head
Miss
off.
Alice, are you... Foolish question, but are you all right?
She's like, now that she's kind of back into town, and that, everything seems semi-normal in town, and like, she doesn't know these people. She has to maintain composure in front of the town, of course. She'll like put her rifle back on her back, and she'll say, "Well, why wouldn't I be?"
Of course, Miss Alice. As I said, foolish question.
I need to go to the newspaper.
Okay, so that's 2 of you. Newspaper and the bar. Jet. Lucius.
Well, I'm not going to the bar just
Not
yet.
right now, yeah.
I don't want to leave. I don't want Jet leaving my sight just yet.
Okay.
I'm still wrapping my head around this, so to calm my nerves, I'm just going to go to my room and tinker if I can.
Okay.
Just
What was it you wanted to work on?
let's see. Improving my shovel to make it bigger so it can transform into a scythe eventually.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, spend the rest of the afternoon doing that. So go ahead and give me a tinkering roll for this is the blueprint phase. So this will give you 2 different blueprints you'll have started. One for the shovel and one for the folding coffin. The IKEA coffin, as I'm going to insist on calling it.
I like that.
Flat pack. Comes with those annoying little screws that only ever work once.
Hey, there's a good.
Whoa.
Yeah, you not only come up with a way to do this, you come up with a way to spring load it.
Oh,
With the right equipment. The trick with this incredible blueprint that you've come up with is it's going to be difficult getting quality enough materials. So in one sense, you've got an incredible blueprint, but the very incredibleness of it is going to make it more difficult to get the bits and pieces.
that's fine for now. This is
But make a note on your sheet somewhere. Tinkering shovel / scythe. First blueprint roll 31. So without a word, Lucius just walks off back to the hotel, up the stairs.
I'm also trying to get my head on like, how did that happen? How is he still alive? It's actually bothering me.
Sort of distracting yourself while you're doing this and trying not to think about it, but thinking about it at the same time. So out in the street, a very confused Lucius mutters to himself and heads off scratching things on a piece of paper.
Yeah, Alice just goes straight to
The newspaper? Absolutely. And then the other 2, I guess Jet, Ellie's following you, so where's Jet going?
I'm looking for wherever that raven went. I don't know if I'll see it or find it, but I'm
Last
looking.
place you saw it was at the doctor's office on the roof.
Yes, I'm gonna at least go walk over there and look and see if they're all still hanging out there or whatever.
Okay.
I'm going to ask Jet what he's doing.
Well, the only wait, was Ellie with us when I got my hat snatched?
Nope.
I don't think you were. Yeah. Well, birds have had a weird affinity to me lately. I don't know why. I can't quite reckon. But when I woke up, or whatever you want to call it, from whatever just happened, this was the only thing that was left. It could have been up there, but that don't ring quite right, and I put it back in my hat. So I'm trying to figure out what's going on with that.
And we're going to do this real quick because you get to the doctor's office and you look up and there's at least a dozen ravens on the roof. But even the quickest of glances, there's none so black that it's blue. And they're just hopping and squawking around. You remember what Lucius told you about them being psychopomps. They escort the souls from the land of the living to the land of the dead, if you believe that sort of thing.
Well, they don't seem to be acting so strange now.
Yeah, you see Jet staring at this roof full of ravens going,
I don't know. Man, I wish I knew. I mean, I guess I could go see the doctor. I don't know if I want to.
It might be a good idea. You did just have a cave-in on your head.
Yeah.
Even if you don't have any scratches on you, you did lose consciousness. It might be a good idea to get a proper medical doctor to look at you. No offense to our undertaker.
Yeah, well.
Feel a chill.
You're not here.
That's what I said. I feel a chill.
Just between you and me, sometimes I feel like doctors give me about as many heebie-jeebies as an undertaker would in this case, but yeah, why not? Maybe they've got some answers. I guess I'm headed in there with her whenever.
Absolutely. Back at the newspaper, Alice, you got your composure back.
Yeah.
You put yourself in your proper mental state. You push open the doors like you own the place.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah, she stands outside and she kind of
your daddy owns the place.
Yeah.
In full Alice Southern Belle mode.
Mm-hmm.
Blow in the doors, and it's a fairly large sized room. There's 5 or 6 desks, but there's only what's his name?
I think it was Dan. Was it Dan?
Dan Comfort. Yes. Yeah, only Dan sitting there. And he's sitting behind a typewriter, which at the time is state of the art, but it's a hunt and peck, bang, 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 typewriter. And he's typing away, and when you come in, he stops. Miss Alice.
I'll say it's afternoon, right?
Yep, it's getting to be, by the time you guys get down here, it's sort of like mid-afternoon, 3:30.
Okay. Say, well, good afternoon, Mr. Dan.
And the same to yourself, ma'am. What can you look like you're on a mission?
Yeah, I got a couple of things to run by you.
Okay. And he stands up and steps away from the typewriter. He just grabs a cup of coffee and steps up to the counter.
Okay, I'm going to say, okay, for one, I've got a picture that I need to get developed immediately.
You know where the room is?
I've also, there was a bit of a strange occurrence up at the top of the mines. May have a bit of a story on our hands. Also, I had a thought. We've come into some acquirement of some ghost steel, and I am kind of curious to see as to what would happen if we could work together and make some daguerreotype plates out of it, to see how that would affect the photographic process.
Oh, that's something I never thought of. That'd be interesting. We can certainly do. We need some real thin plates, and the chemicals would have to.
Well, I've done a little bit of experimenting. What was that? You said I knew kind of.
You need a fixative, some sort of something to help the chemicals stick to the actual.
Oh, that's right. Okay, so I'll tell him that. I'll kind of say, well, when I experimented, they weren't quite wanting to stick to the ghost steel out here, so we need to figure out some way to make it stick. I was hoping you could help me, hoping you'd be interested in helping me figure all that out.
There's a couple of treatments I can think of. Maybe we scratch the surface with real fine, like steel wool or something to scratch it up, or maybe. And he starts opening drawers and cupboards behind the desk and starts pulling out these large jugs of weird-looking chemicals. And he's muttering to himself. He's clearly on the job.
Yeah.
Got an idea.
And then she'll say, and also, it's been kind of coming in handy, but it's so cumbersome. I'd kind of like to see if we could take a camera and extract the magnification lens and see if we can make some sort of a more portable.
You mean a telescope?
Yeah, but more portable. Maybe something I could attach to my gun even.
Oh, that's real small. I don't know where we'd get the glass work done on that, but I mean, it's technically at least possible. You said you had a picture to develop. Any chance there's a story?
Well, let's develop the picture and see what we got.
I hope so, because I'm writing up divorce stories to fill the second page.
Mm-hmm.
And you guys bugger off into the back and develop the photograph?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
What you get, at first it almost looks like just a gray blur. But what you realize is that as you took the picture, not only did you hit the trigger, you must have zoomed, because you've basically got like the flank of a wolf from what would be its armpit to its hip. and you can see the ribs out in the open. You can see that lung inside that's inflated. You got the picture perfect. It's inflated, so it's actually pressing up against the inside of the ribs. And the background is blurred. So obviously you bumped the camera at exactly
Right.
the angle
Yeah.
that the wolf went.
I'm really curious. I'm just waiting to see what Dan says about this.
As it comes clear, he's just tapping his coffee cup on the counter. It's kind of an annoying thing he does with this coffee cup, just tick, tick, tick. And he's, that was living when you took that picture?
Is no longer.
Well, that's one load off my mind.
Well, there was 7 of them.
That's 7 loads off my mind.
They are
And we definitely got a lead story.
Can you tell how big it is from how big it was from the picture?
Kind of.
Okay.
The trees are, an adult pine tree. They're all more or less in that area. They're more or less the same size.
Yeah.
So by extrapolation, you point that out to him, and he's, his eyes get even bigger.
And then I'll tell him. I'll tell him the full story minus the part where Jet was suddenly cured or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, you write that up for us. You got front page again.
Have we? And also this too. Have we heard anything from the previous story we sent off? I imagine it's been long enough now that it would.
It's you've got. He smiles and pulls out of his pocket. He pulls out a telegram, and he says, "Exclusive in 4 states. You got a check coming."
I sure had hoped so. That does sound like good news.
Shall I just have it delivered here? They've been asking.
Yeah, that's fine. It seems like there's some issues we need to work out with this town before we can leave.
Issues. This town. That's funny.
Mm-hmm.
This whole town's an issue.
Yeah. So yeah, just have him send the check here. That's fine. And I'll write up this story, and we can get the details on that ironed out.
And he grabs like 4 jugs. And he says, "One of these will work. I'll be back." And he goes running out towards the tracks with a paintbrush and these 4 jugs.
She would follow him.
Okay. And yeah, he starts slathering stuff on, and he does after about a couple minutes, he rubs them, and 3 of them sort of come off, but one of them is actually bonded to the ghost steel.
Oh, good.
And he just grins.
Yep.
Now we just got to get real thin sheets made.
Yeah, we are at least working on that. Gonna see what we can do about that. Gonna see if the blacksmith can maybe help us with that.
And he's just grinning already, and he's like looking to see how much liquid he's got left in this container, and you can see him doing the math in his head how many prints he's going to be able to make.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've got him. He's on a mission.
Yeah, I knew that he would be like almost as excited about it, the prospect of this as Alice, because it's like,
So you go back inside. He pulls the sheet out of the newspaper, crumples it up, throws it in the garbage, runs a new sheet in for you, points to the pile of paper, and just lets you start writing the story however you choose to.
All right. I'm going to. Do you want me to roll a?
It happened to you. This is the easiest story
Okay.
you've ever written. The only tricky part is trying to avoid the bits that make it sound like you're mental.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I do have a picture, so
Yep.
that helps with the size of the size.
That's the headline is Tainted Wolves, New Heroes, or something of the sort, right?
Yeah. And again, she's going to leave out, she'll mention the mine collapse,
Mm-hmm.
and that Jet's shotgun exploded and that he killed 2 of the wolves in the process. And the way that she will kind of flavor it is that when the mine collapsed and 2 of the wolves died, one of them was chopped in half by the Undertaker after being shot by the glamorous Alice. That the other ones, she'll kind of write it that the other ones buggered off, basically.
Yeah, so no mention of the the miraculously uninjured Jet, and no mention of the glowing ghost rails or
Not yet.
the ad on the wolf.
She does not want to. She does not want to hit on that part of the story until she has figured out exactly what it was.
Nice logical reason why.
Yes.
Gotcha. Perfect. So that's you for the rest of the afternoon. That's two of you. I'm going to come back to Lucius, but for right now, at the doctor's office, Jet, you stride up to the front door. There's the sign hanging above it, the picture of the broken bone. None of the ravens on the roof pay particular attention to you.
Good. Yep.
You push your way in, and there's a very thin, spinsterish, pale woman with pale gray hair, pale skin. She's wearing a sort of almost ivory, sort of shapeless shift. You can see it's designed to work in. This is her working clothes. This is the doctor, and she looks at you, very tight face, very thin, very bony structure. She looks at you and says, can I assist?
Well, maybe.
And what seems to be the problem?
How much?
She's eyeing you like a piece of meat. Her eyes are just going up and down like she's looking for what the issue is.
How much do you know about guns, ma'am?
I worked as a doctor in the Civil War for 21 months. I've seen men shot everywhere it's possible for a man to be shot. And she's looking you up and down again, disbelieving now.
Well, what would you say would happen to a man? And I pull out the parts of my shotgun and kind of set them on the counter. And I was like, if a fully loaded gun such as this ended up in this state in a man's hands, what would your medical diagnosis be for a gentleman for whom that happened to?
In all likelihood, sir, I think red mist would probably be the accurate medical term. You're
Is
not
it-
trying to tell me, yes, miss?
Is it possible someone could have survived? Or completely
Anything's
unscathed?
possible. Is this some sort of joke? Have the two of you been drinking? Have you been out in the sun too long?
No, ma'am. I work with the marshal. I'm not from around here. I recently blew into town, but I assure you I do not drink but on a rare occasion. And all I know is I'm the man who had this gun go off in his hands. Not even maybe, I would say maybe an hour ago, maybe 2 hours. I don't know. I'm trying to.
Yeah, around that. It's kind of hard to tell.
There
She
was a
looks at
cave
you.
in too. He was knocked unconscious. Or we think.
And with that, she steps up and sort of turns you to the window, and you see that she's trying to get light to go into your eyes, and she sees a reaction in your eyes. She turns you back so you're not staring at the light, and she says, there are very strange things that can happen, but medically, there's no way. But the world is an odd place. I don't think you're lying. Make a... Make a faith check for me, Jet.
Oof. Well, I know what I've got to do this week when I get all my chips out. All right, so that's 1d6 minus 4. 0.
Yeah, she's the look she gives you is strangely not judgmental. It's like she believes you somehow. Make a perception. Scrutinize check for me. As she turned your face to the sun and then turned it back, her fingers were cool to the touch. And it's a very hot day.
Okay. Is it cool inside the building?
It's cooler than it is outside, yes, for sure.
But not as cool as her hands are, probably.
No, I mean, there's no air conditioning in this time and place, but she's got all the blinds and windows pulled, and it's been dark inside this building all day, so it's considerably cooler in here than it would be outside in the sun. But she feels like she just came up from the root cellar.
Well, ma'am, the only other reason I came was because upon waking from this event, much to my surprise, the only thing that I found on my person, other than the things I'd previously had, was this. And I pull out the feather, and none of the ones on your roof look like they match this one, but there was one that did when earlier. Actually, I think it was earlier today. Was it earlier today?
I think it was yesterday.
Maybe it was yesterday.
Yeah, you had a night's sleep because you had a bad dream.
Yeah, yesterday that matched it, and I don't pretend to know what's going on. I believe in some odd things, I'll admit, but I ain't ever seen nothing like this.
I don't know anything about the Ravens. I don't know why they're here, but can I just... And she reaches out to take your wrist.
Sure.
And she checks your pulse. Oh. Whatever is ailing you, son, I can't help.
All right.
I think I'd just check this one off as a lucky break.
Okay.
Suppose so. Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you.
And she turns and goes back behind the counter and starts writing notes, like doctors do after an appointment. There was no charge. She doesn't mention money in any way, shape, or form at any point during this encounter. I'm going to cut quickly back to Lucius. You finish this design, and it was exhausting because you have it just flowed out of you in this amazing, just every pencil mark, it almost like it drew itself, the ink lines. And at the end of it, you were so exhausted, you just tipped forward, and you hardly even felt it as your forehead hit the counter. Just thunk. And you start to dream. And it's a very simple dream. There's a map. You can see the map. It's the whole western half of this continent. And a giant is walking across this map. Every step is half a state wide. And he's starting in the city of Los Angeles. 2 steps. And he's at the Nevada border. You see him now lit in the morning sun that's rising behind you, but in his face. Huge. Huge. So huge you can hardly imagine. All dressed in black. black cowboy boots, black pants, black belt with a black buckle, black jacket, white shirt, black hat. On each hip is a pistol, one gold and black, the other silver and gray, pearl-handled and gray. A rifle across his back, and a star on his chest. Says Sheriff. And in that way that you know, because dreams are like that, folded in quarters, in the pocket inside his vest, is a picture of you. Wanted. Dead or alive. And that's where we'll end tonight, even though it's a little early.
Woo!
I figured
Why
we
have
made
you
up
done
for
this?
time. We made it for time in that one with intensity. We packed 3 hours into 2.5. So let's just call it there for the day.
Man, Jet's going through some trials and tribulations, reminiscent of a certain warlock I know. Rough week for those fellers, both of them. Anyway, special announcement to make. We just during this broadcast, we got approved for the beta program of the Twitch channel points. So y'all for watching and subscribing and chatting and doing things, y'all gonna earn gold pieces here on the Mercs of Mischief channel. You can use that to unlock emotes and maybe do some other stuff with the games. I don't know. We got to figure it out. But stay tuned for that. Also, big reminder, you can subscribe if you're a Twitch Prime member. And if you're not, this is September, so those first tier subscriptions are half price starting today all the way through the 29th, I do believe. So
I think it's the 24th.
Well, 24th, I don't know. You got a few weeks, but don't wait. You're going to miss it. Anywho, that was stressful. Marshall, Kevin, take us home.
Oh, thank you. That was one for each of you. Thank you for all our subscribers and those too. Thank you for our producer, director, sound man, and general background commentator, as well as announcer as well. I'm going to do this in a very particular order. We're going to start the way we left. Hannah playing Ellie tonight. More of a support role night, but your turn is coming, believe me. Lucius, played by our very own Lessamax. You asked for your backstory, and here it comes. Miss Alice, it kind of happened all around you tonight, but yet it all kind of happened to you.
Mm-hmm.
Got some thinking to do.
Mm-hmm.
And boy, I hope I didn't break him. Oh, man. He got beat up last night emotionally, and then I just jumped on the bandwagon tonight and rode that horse wet and put him away without brushing him. Sky, Mr. Noctum Sky, thank you for coming with me down that rabbit hole inside a rabbit hole. Thank you so much. I hope you're confused. I hope you're looking forward to next week. And with that, I am so lucky. You guys are amazing. Thank you. The dice worked. The cards worked. The players worked. Even I got it right this week. So thank you to everybody, and we'll shoot you next week. Good night.
You DM today. To hell with your stupid game. We're walking out the door. So screw you, DM. To hell with your stupid game. Your plots are weak, your pacing sucks. Each session is the same. You take away our magic.